The freezing, razor-sharp wind of the Cascade Mountains was already pushing experienced hiker Marcus to his absolute physical limits. But the biting cold was nothing compared to the terrifying, eclipsing shadow that suddenly blocked out the afternoon sun. Before Marcus could even look up to see what was hunting him, a massive 7-foot golden eagle plummeted from the alpine clouds like a feathered missile, its terrifying hooked yellow talons extended directly toward his face. Marcus violently threw his arms up to protect his eyes, screaming in pure, unfiltered panic as the apex predator slammed into him with the force of a speeding truck. But the giant bird didn't sink its razor-sharp claws into his flesh. Instead, it aggressively latched onto the thick nylon straps of his bright orange survival backpack. With a deafening, bone-chilling screech, the eagle violently ripped the heavy bag right off Marcus's shoulders, throwing him off balance and sending him crashing hard into the unforgiving icy snow. Gasping for breath and shaking with adrenaline, Marcus watched in absolute helpless horror as the magnificent beast soared out over the terrifying, bottomless rocky ravine and intentionally dropped his only lifeline, his food, his emergency radio, his thermal gear, down into the dark, misty abyss below. Pure, boiling anger and desperate confusion flooded Marcus's veins. He was miles away from civilization, completely stripped of his survival gear, and he couldn't understand why a wild, majestic creature would maliciously sabotage his life. Shaking with rage and freezing cold, he slowly crawled forward on his hands and knees toward the jagged cliff edge to see if his bag had miraculously caught on a lower ledge. But as his heavy leather boot shifted the fresh white powder just 2 inches from the drop-off, his blood instantly turned to solid ice. There, perfectly hidden beneath a deceptive, carefully placed layer of dead brown pine needles and snow, was the cold, rusted, serrated steel of a massive, illegally modified bear trap. It wasn't just a standard hunting trap. It was rigged with a taut, high-tension metallic tripwire stretched directly across the narrow dirt path where Marcus had been walking just 10 seconds prior. If that eagle hadn't violently thrown him to the ground, his very next step would have triggered the massive steel jaws, instantly snapping his leg bone in half and leaving him to bleed to death alone in the freezing wilderness. The paralyzing realization of his near-fatal final step made Marcus's chest heave with shallow, panicked breaths, and as he slowly looked up from the rusted mechanical death trap, he saw the giant golden eagle. It hadn't flown away. It was perched completely still on a frost-covered dead pine branch just a few yards away, its highly intelligent, piercing amber gold eyes looking directly into Marcus's soul. The anger in Marcus's heart completely evaporated, replaced with a profound, overwhelming sense of awe as his eyes drifted down to the eagle's left foot gripping the icy wood. The yellow, scaly foot was horribly deformed, heavily scarred with a thick, twisted knot of white tissue and visibly missing 2 of its front talons. In that breathtaking, silent moment, the heavy winter wind seemed to completely stop as a 5-year-old memory hit Marcus like a physical blow to the chest. Half a decade ago, miles away in a violently churning, freezing river valley, Marcus had risked his own life to wade into Diddley Rapids, using his silver pocket knife to desperately cut away thick, transparent nylon fishing line that was amputating the claw of a drowning, young, panicked eagle. He had freed the dying bird, watched it limp away into the sky, and never expected to see it again. Yet here, in the vast, unforgiving expanse of the remote mountains, the universe had perfectly closed the circle. The eagle hadn't attacked him. It had recognized his face. It had remembered the exact human scent of the man who had shown it mercy. And when it saw the hidden metallic death trap waiting on the trail, it did the only physical thing a wild bird could do to stop a grown man from walking to his doom. It stole the bag to break his momentum. The massive eagle let out one final, soft, echoing cry into the freezing canyon, spreading its magnificent 7-foot wings and launching beautifully into the golden sunlight breaking through the winter clouds.
leaving Marcus kneeling in the snow with hot tears streaming down his wind-burned face. We are so often taught that nature is a cruel and heartless place where only the strongest survive. But on a freezing cliff edge, a wild, untamed predator proved that the wilderness never, ever forgets a true act of kindness. And sometimes, the mercy you put out into the world is exactly what swoops down from the heavens to save your life.